where my emotions were being pulled and um, dwindled in so many areas that the book itself, it required a special time and space because it's something new and it's something in depth. So when I had the ghostwriter to write it, it was more so of someone telling you about me. But the truth for me was I had a message to give. You gotta know what is the purpose behind it. I have something to tell, and nobody could tell that.
Correct.
No,
Put it into the words that get your emotions out of
yeah,
it.
yeah. Nobody could do that for me.
Yeah.
You can't. You can tell somebody, oh, this is Simone, but who can represent Simone better than Simone? This is a representation of myself. So what it did, it really forced me to be true to who I am, and so I was so concerned about me not me being judged, you know, because again, when you're talking about truth, you have to dig up a whole bunch of stuff that you had buried, you had dealt with before, or had just pushed behind. So I had to like go get those skeletons out the closet, and I had to deal with all of that. So I had to really like organize a lot of that within myself. And then once I started organizing that and then putting it into context, and you have to, it's almost like you gotta know what to do with this stuff. Like it's almost if I give you a whole bin of stuff, you're like, oh, what am I gonna do with all this? So I had to learn what to do with it. And then when I started outlining and then understanding what is my mission, what is my end goal? My end goal is how I wanted people to feel. I want them to feel as if though they can achieve and overcome. And what was my driving force? What was the reason? Why am I here? And all of those questions, I just made sure that that was in the forefront of my mind. And then I created an outline. Another thing I never did before. Before, when I was just writing for 4 years, I was like, I wrote so much until I forgot what I wrote. That's why I said I don't like to just like, let me just wait because I'll forget what did I just say that? Because I did that for so many years. I was just like writing in circles until you get lost in your thoughts. I got lost in my words to the point where I lost my voice.
Wow.
I lost my voice and I couldn't speak anymore. Yes, yes, it was that and down. So I was able to be free finally, and I had a breakthrough. Like the cracks were like starting to create. I felt the crack within my spirit, like leading into 2020, and then breakthrough. I had it, and so this conversation, we probably would have never had this conversation in front of a camera. Yeah, we probably could have done it over the phone, but even so, I had a hard time even carrying on in-depth conversations because I was so lost within those words for so many years of writing a story. So, for yourself, I don't think you'll have that issue, but we all have a separate journey. We all have separate pain points, triggers, and so I definitely recognized what my triggers were, and so I learned to like stay away from all that.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, just meeting you that day, it gave me exactly what I needed it to push me forward. Because I needed it to hear that someone that had no experience writing, but that had a story, something to share to help others. Because the whole reason behind this is to help others.
Yeah.
Because when I went through what I went through, I found myself trying to ask people around, and
Let's talk about what you went through. Let's talk about that. What did you go through?
Sure. Well, a couple years ago, a couple days before Christmas, my husband went to work, and he decided he didn't want to come back home. And what do you do? You know, what do you tell your daughters? What does that mean? That he doesn't want to come back? That he's tired to be a father or a husband or whatever? And for me, that really brought me to my core because, I believe that marriage should be forever.
Right.
I mean, I married with that thought in my head until death do us apart.
Right.
And I was willing to do whatever it took to make that happen. And, I went through a very hard time understanding that. How can someone out of the sudden, not even a word or nothing, just decided to walk out? And so
how many years were you together?
26 years, 21 married.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many children?
2 daughters.
2 daughters.
he was my high school sweetheart. So yeah.
So he just didn't come back home, or he just decided that it was over on that particular day?
I guess he decided that it was over. A couple days after, he stopped by the house to just pick up a couple of his things, and that was the only time that we talked for a couple minutes, and then he left. Yeah, yeah, and so it was devastating for me, just to go through the whole process. And I had just moved down here to Florida,
From where?
Connecticut.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had just moved, recently moved, have no family, friends, no one near me at that moment, but very blessed that I found a church community. That was the first thing. As soon as I moved, I went into church.
Right.
And I started doing Bible studies and just volunteering at the church. So when this happened a couple months after, I finally realized the importance of having community around you. And I mean, this amazing church that just knew me for a couple months just surround me, and this woman just loved on me, and that's exactly what I needed it. And even though I didn't have close people around me, like family, friends that I knew for years, but I had this community that was willing to love me through that process and not judge me.
Right.
But you know, there's moments when you're alone at home and you're thinking, Lord, like all this pain, what do I do with it?
Yeah.
You know, and even when I tried to see if there was other woman going through what I was going through, I couldn't find no one going through what I was going through. So I felt alone, and I felt like, do I really can move forward? Is there really hope? You know? And it was really hard question. Just like you said, for you, you have those moments. I mean, I had just started, I was vulnerable, I was in pain, I felt alone. And of course, I had just started walking with God, like truly walking with God just a year before.
You mentioned that. You mentioned like, okay, now Lord, I'm walking with you. This is where you think everything is supposed to come together, right? Because I'm doing it right, then everything is supposed to be right. But what I've learned too, though, in the process, that's when He also takes out the things out of your life that is not good. And sometimes that comes with a lot of growing pain. That's what my journey has taught me, because in our minds, we also think that walking with God means a perfect world. Yes. And everything goes just the way you planned and just the way it, no. Sometimes it has to disrupt you and create a bunch of storm, but the storm doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to destroy you. It's going to take out some of the things that's not beneficial in your life. And of course, like myself, I do honor marriage. And so whenever I hear about other marriages are falling apart, people leaving each other, it does something to me. It's never something that I can really like, you know, yeah girl, do your thing. You know, it's like, no, like what happened? How do we fix it? Like yourself, you know, it's forever. And of course I have been married prior to this one. And that was probably one of the hardest things for me to do, was to leave that marriage. But it was not a good situation. So I get it, but in a situation where it's healthy, you have children, and I have no children, but you have beautiful daughters together, and now you're by yourself trying to make that happen. How did you do it?
Well, I have to say it was really hard. And one of the things that I just, like at that moment, I remember one night just praying and just felt like God said, how are you gonna trust me if you don't have the opportunity to trust me? How are you going to meet me as the provider if you don't allow me to provide? How would I be your comforter if there's nothing to comfort? How can I be your healer if there's nothing to heal? And He just started to download all these things on my head. And there was truth. Like, yes, I was walking with God. Yes, I have faith in Him. But unless we go to the actual break it.
Yeah, the breaking point.
The breaking point. Yeah.
You have to depend on Him.
All of Him.
All of Him. That's where the true growth begins.
Yeah,
that's where faith. That's when it comes in.
Faith really shows. That's what really true faith is. When everything around you is falling apart, but you know that you know that you know that He's with you, and there's something's coming after. It's very hard. But it's very, very hard. And I remember that night just he telling me like, if you don't let me heal you, I cannot be the healer. If you don't let me provide, I cannot be your provider. So all these things that keep coming, and I said, you wanted it, because one of my prayers when I started following God, one of my prayers was, take me deeper. Take me deeper.
And what you're asking for, right?
Correct. Be careful what you ask for. So
for.
that was one of my prayers, and the other prayer that I had was, give me a heart like Jesus. I want to have a heart like Jesus, to love unconditional. And I remember that they just prayed, and God reminded me, remember your prayer. Take me deeper. How can I take you deeper? This is how I take you deeper. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I was devastated. I was in so much pain that even for that moment, a thought came of suicide on my head. Because at that moment, I thought, here I am alone. I had just moved. I self-employed, so I don't have, my business is not set here yet. How can I take care of 2 daughters? They deserve so much more. I'm going to be a single mother. Like, how can I do this? I cannot see myself doing that. And I remember that I just praying and crying so much and feeling the pain, but not only my pain, but seeing my daughter's pain and can do nothing about it. That feeling of hopelessness, that I want to take it from them, but I cannot even deal with my own pain. So that was very, very hard. How can you keep that faith? But you're seeing it. Correct. And I feel like as women, we tend to create this facade like everything is perfect. But what we do, we put it under the rug and we let it there. We don't touch it. We don't allow the healing process to go through. And then something triggers and we blow and we don't even know why. I decided to go through the praying in the process. I remember that night praying on my knees, and I said, God, if you truth, like you said, then you need to show up in my life. You really need to be my provider. You need to be my friend. You need to be now my husband. You need to take care of me. You need to be everything I need you to be.
Hold him accountable.
Yeah, I did. I was like, you really have to show up.
That's
You really have to show up. I need to feel your presence, and I need to know you're real. And in that moment, I remember, because I'm analytical too, so I put in my head, okay, you can think about not being here anymore. You're going to leave your daughters, you're going to leave them, or you're going to really step up and believe what you said. What are you going to do? And I remember that night saying, you know what? I'm gonna trust you, God. I'm going to trust you. I know it's going to hurt, but I know that if you're truthful, you're going to come through.
That's right.
And I remember I fall asleep in the floor just crying, but then I remember every morning woke up with a little bit new strength. The pain was still there, and the pain was there for a couple months, very devastating. And I have to say, it's a battle. Like when you were in the book, when I was reading that part where you take, it was a mind battle, truly a mind battle.
You have to be the here first.
Yes, the negative thoughts, like, oh no, it's not going to happen. Oh, you're going to be in pain forever. Oh, who's going to love you now? Oh, you cannot be a single mom. All that label that society is giving you. All the shame, because, you know, what people say is like, oh, he left you for a reason.
That's right. And then you get caught up to what they're thinking and what they're saying, and then before you know it, you're feeding into them, and then it actually just puts you down into a deeper hole.
It's a little
you
bit
have to learn to
everything.
ignore that. It's like I thought about it like this morning, and like one of my favorite there's a part in the chat in the book where I talk about feeding your focus. Feeding your
Powerful.
focus, and ignoring your distractions. And you really have to, I think that is the biggest key with most of us, is that we recognize these thoughts, but we don't necessarily identify where they're coming from or categorize them like, okay, this is a distraction.
Hold them. Hold them captive.
And these, you gotta be able to block them. Like you have to know that, well, this is not here to feed my soul. This thought here is not gonna encourage me, it's actually discouraging me. So whenever I get thoughts of discouragement, I'm like, I block it and then I rebut it. No, yes, I am more than enough. You know, and that's why I've been talking and pushing for a lot of us women to say to ourselves, I am more than enough. Many times we get these visions, these dreams, these ideas to do things, but then we start thinking about what we don't have.
And not thinking that. But speaking that.
And
the power of your words.
yourself first.
Yes.
Yourself first, that I am more than enough. And
Yes.
and believe that no matter what your situation is, no matter how bad it may be, that God has given you everything
Yes.
that you need to overcome and prosper with it.
Yes.
It's the hardest thing I think for me is when people are taking out our lives that we just feel that we need, that we can't comprehend it. But you have to also trust the process.
Yes.
And time tells everything.
Yes.
We want the answers right now, and I think that's where we get stuck. We want it now, and we don't want to wait. We want that microwave moment.
Yes,
No,
because society has teachers. You go fast food, you
Yeah,
go on the
yeah,
drive-through,
yeah.
everything has to be fast.
But we're growing. We're a growing individual. We're here on a spiritual journey. We are growing beings, and time tells us everything. I've learned that. Like if I don't get it right now, I said, you know what? Let me not put too much energy there because I don't get it right now. Let me focus my energy where it suits me best, and so I feel like I'm living in that area.
Yes.
Eventually, it comes to me. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like where you've lost something around the house. You're looking for it, looking for it, looking for it, looking
You
for it.
stop looking
And
you
exactly, you stress yourself out trying to find this thing, but you can't find it. And then eventually it just shows up. Well, I think that's how, for me, where time kind of works itself out. Like eventually, in time, I will find that moment, I'll find the answers, and then I'm at ease versus like trying to force something that's not there.
But trusting that process, I feel like as women, we get, everybody, we get through a situation that is hard, or we go through pain, and we want to get rid of it.
Yes.
And one of the things that I realized, and that was a very profound moment when one of my friends told me, I was speaking, and said, pain moves you. And I learned that from myself. Yes, pains move us. So sometimes we try to take pain and just kind of like, I want to get rid of it right away. Like me, at that moment, I was praying and I said, God, just take this pain away.
Yeah.
And it was not about just taking the pain away. It's what the pain was doing for me.
Girl, you did it. You got it.
At that moment.
You got it. You
what
got
that
it.
pain did for me.
You had to go through that pain
Yes.
process.
I needed to learn to let Him heal the pain, remove all the pain, and everything that I was struggling, but let Him heal that pain little by little, by talking to me, by allowing me to know who I am. And so I feel like sometimes we rush to the process. Oh, this happened, okay, I give you 1 or 2 days to get over it. Or even people, sometimes your friends will say, oh, get over it, find somebody else, or do this or do that. No, don't show things under the rug. Be knowledgeable of that pain. Feel the pain, cry, scream, do what you need to do, right? Because we have to honor that. But then give it to God. Release it and say, okay, this is what happened to me, but this is not who I am, and this is not going to define me. So I remember one day talking to someone, and he said, oh, so now you're a single mom. I said, no, my name is Jessica Morales. That's who I am.
Right.
I'm not going to allow labels to define who I am, because I'm not that. Right? I'm not a single mom, I'm not a diversity. Those are things that I do, but that's not who I am. So it's very important that we get caught up on those moments when people try to come and use words. What words do you want to receive, and what words you don't receive?
I say that.
And you
I
reject them.
Yes.
So when people tell me stuff, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, reject.
I do the same thing. If it's not something that's going to build me up on the inside, I don't have to receive it. I don't have to receive it. And I practice, I don't receive it within myself. I'm like, I don't receive that.
In my head, I said the same thing. And even one day, I did it to a person, and I was proud of God because I'm not that person to tell. And I said, you know what? I do not receive that. And the person was looking at me, and I just turned around and left, because sometimes we have to protect ourselves. We have to be very careful.
Absolutely.
And me going through that process of what I went through, and people ask me, so how do you do it? Well, I let the pain be the pain. I honor my pain. I cry. I surrender it. But one of the things that really helped me push forward was scriptures. Because the truth was in the scriptures. So I remember when you know, you get all these negative thoughts, or when you look at your circumstance that you see, oh,
Like
there's
Job,
no money.
like Job.
Yes,
Like
there's no
Job.
money on the account, there's this happening, there's that happening, there's pain there, there's so much things around you that I remember just say, you know what, I'm gonna focus on just reading the word. And I grab my Bible, and every day I would take scriptures and write them in just index cards with my handwriting, just and put a piece of tape and put it on my wall. That when I just move, and they came and helped me move, my friends are looking and they're like, what is this?
Spiritual food.
That was my
Spiritual
wall,
food.
yes, of truth. That was my wall of truth. And I just put all these index cards all over my bedroom wall. And every morning I would go and I would meet, and whenever thoughts would come, I would go to, oh no, there's a scripture for that.
There you go.
He said, I'm fearfully, wonderful made. I'm the
go.
apple of his eyes.
Amen.
I'm a word of his kingdom.
There you
And
go.
I would start just speaking it out loud.
I love it.
And that's how little by little every morning I found, okay, I have the strength, now I can go to work today. And I would come back maybe in the middle of the day. Some days I would hear a song that would treat me back, and I'm like, okay, no, go back to the scripture. What did the scripture say? And I would go back and remember my wall and where the scriptures were. And I would start to speak it out loud until I hear them, and I start to believe and get that strength back again.
That's right.
That was
so you
my
were
to go.
remolded. You were broken down. That's
Yes.
how I felt. That's how, like, in my life. So how far have you read in the book? How far have you
Oh,
read?
I just finished the book.
Oh, good. Oh my God. So what? Now, do you remember now in the Virgin Islands where I lost all my hair?
Wow.
That was being broke. That was where I was broken down to nothing. And that was when I think the Lord did His number on me, because I had no one like yourself. You know, I'm in the Virgin Islands. I'm in a place where I don't have any family. This is not my country. My country is Jamaica. My family's abroad. I'm now a person now is trying to figure out this situation. I'm caught up in a whirlwind of melee, and my life could be even at risk. You know, I have a husband that is in prison, you know, for something that's devastating. I mean, and I'm 18 years old. 18. You know, it was so much to try to deal with, and when you have nobody else, but I had God, and so, and the thing is, what I thank God for in my life is that as a little girl, my grandmother always ensured that I went to church every Sunday. Not realizing how little by little those words of scriptures and just the little things that a pastor or Sunday school teacher said along the way, or something that I learned in school, it just stuck to me little by little. And so when I got to the space in my life where I had no one else, I remember I still have God. And so the scriptures is what really built me back up, and little, just like yourself. So I can totally relate to what you're saying, but if I did not have the Word of God in my life, I would not be sitting here today. I would have fed into all of the negativity. I would have fed into all what was going on around me. I would have gotten sucked into that vacuum of torment. Even when my hair is falling out, you saw where even the madman was. Even the madman was like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" I'm like, "Man, you're the one in the street, right?" Right. And so, we all need a wake-up call.
Yes.
We all need a wake-up call, and that day was a true wake-up call for me. Of like, wait a minute, Simone, you maybe need to do a checkup from the neck up. Really, like, what is really going on? You know, how are you gonna come out of this thing here? But like I said, it was a journey, and all of that. When I tell you I was broken down, and when I finally actually came out of that relationship, I was so like emotionally broken. I was broken, and it came out like kind of lopsided, because in the process of all of that breaking down, that's where that entrepreneurship part of me was birthed, right? And so financially, life and everything else started coming together well, but when it came to trust, love, that department, there was nothing there. I was an empty shell. There was no emotion that I had for anyone of a, intimate nature. Like, I could hang around a gentleman, but there was no way that I would ever love him. So it sent me space when it came to emotions,
Wow.
and I felt that as well. So when this book is one mountain that I had to go through, but that was another one. Like that hurdle of getting so broken to the point where you can't love again.
Wow.
That love wasn't there. So to be here today
Mm.
and to really be in a marriage, a healthy marriage, where I can truly love and truly commit, I'm so blessed to be here. But I also have to be open up to that too. And you have to know, I think it's in chapter 3 where I talk about to know love, you have to experience love.
Yes.
And so love, I had to learn how to love myself.
Yes.
And so that's what I realized. I failed. I failed myself first. I was looking for something that I didn't even understand in life. And so when I think about my experiences in life, it's something that I've now embraced, where prior to that I was like playing the victim, like why me? Why I don't think I deserve all of this. Like you say, you think when you're trying to do good, you believe that all those things are supposed to come back to you. Life doesn't teach you, or the people around you doesn't teach you, well, like, you're gonna have some struggles.
Yes.
And these are the tools that you need to have when you go through life. And I think that's what is missing from our society. And I think that is what we as sisters and women need to really push out there, and then educate our younger generation and our younger girls, and prepare them with the real tools and the reality of life. I think like you said, we spend so much time pushing things under the rug that we don't really deal with it. We don't really have these conversations. And so when it comes to going through it, you're like, well, I don't even know who to talk to.
Yeah.
And then no one is talking, and people aren't talking.
No.
And they go through it, but they're too ashamed
To talk about it. Yes.
to talk about it. They're in marriages that are just killing them too.
Yes.
They're in abusive relationships, that, well, they don't want to come out and say that, I'm miserable, because they may have a beautiful house, or they may have certain things that they don't want to let go of. So there's so many layers, but I think that this is I think 2020 is a shift that's happening. I believe there's an awareness, and I believe that we're more open, but we haven't really gotten there yet. And so part of my mission is to really cultivate those conversations, and to create a platform where it's a platform of brother and sisterhood. First, I'm starting with the women because I can connect with women. I know I'm real with my feelings, and I love to have conversation with people like yourself, because I can relate. I get it. But I just have one perspective, one portion of that experience, and you have another, and she has another, and she has another. And so together, though, we have a story, and we have something that we can lift each other up with, and so you're not alone. No, and the things that I have used to overcome it, you may have not been there. I'm like, okay, girl, it's like cooking. All you need is a spoon, girl.
Yeah.
And try it, and before you know it, life, I think, becomes a lot easier. It becomes more rewarding, and that is what it's all about, and it's not about being by ourselves and me, I. And,
it's about building that community. Like I said, I mean,
healthy community.
It's a healthy community around you, and just really taking the time to take care of yourself. Because that's what I did through that process. I kind of separated myself from everything else, from the world, and I committed myself to, church, following God, my family, and I put everything else aside. And I said, no, I want to be completely through the process. And I let myself, literally, I just started coming out of the house the past couple of months, but I literally spent like a year and a half just between God and I. Just reading the word, I was just thirsty to know the truth and to know myself, because I have lost myself, So when he left, I was like, okay, so I was a wife and I was a mother. Now who I am, right? And your encounter with, okay, like I remember
define yourself now.
Defining myself, just going grocery shopping. I remember going grocery shopping one day, and I'm like, wait, what do I buy? Because I used to cook for him and for my daughters, and this is what he wanted it. But what do I want? And even in that part of my life changed. Like I'm like, okay, no, I don't need to buy that, because I don't really want to eat that. So I started eating healthier, because I got vegetables, soup, and I lost over 55 pounds.
What?
Yeah, in the couple months after that.
Wow.
Yeah, I went through, one of my journey was the fasting. When I started creating that connection with God, I wanted more. I wanted God, I want an intimate relationship with you. So the last thing that I needed to do was fasting. So I did a 40-day fasting.
Wow.
And through that process, it was just for me to get a deeper connection with Him. But going through that, it opened my eyes to everything. And I became
your thoughts to everything.
Transformed from people saw the outside.
Yeah, but you found
I was the
inside
out. So I got to discover myself. I got to have an intimate relationship with God to the point that I would think about something, and before I even finished praying, boom, it was over there. I'm like, God!
I'm telling you.
And all these things started to happen. And I'm like, oh Lord, this happened. I need, boom, it's already there. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And all these amazing things are happening in my life, but people saw the outside. They didn't saw the inside. And actually I became transformed from inside out. To the part that when I finished that fasting, I remember trying my clothes and they didn't fit anymore. And I'm like, what's going on? I didn't even notice because that was my focus. My focus was I want God. And I want to know who I am and who He is. And I just wanted that.
Right.
And by the end, I couldn't fit in none of my clothes.
Wow. So what size did you go from?
Oh, I was a size, I think, 8'10", and I'm a size 0 too.
What? What?
I know.
I would love to see you. So you have to send me a before and after picture. That's amazing.
Absolutely,
That's
yes.
amazing.
I'm in the size that I was when I was in high school.
Wow.
I never thought that I would ever weigh 105 pounds.
Wow.
That's what I was weighing in high school.
Wow. That's amazing. How do you feel?
Oh my gosh.
You feel better?
I feel amazing.
Yes.
Because again, through the fasting, it helped me to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So
how do you fast?
Well, I decided to do just vegetables, everything that came from the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So no processed food, no bread, no pasta, no rice, none of that for those 40 days because I really wanted that connection with God, right? So I just went into just vegetables, fish, fruits. That was pretty much it. And water, a lot of water. And that's all I did.
Change your diet.
I
your mindset.
Oh my God, it changed everything because I was able to be like, well, if my thing is always ice cream. Like I'm an ice cream eater. I love ice cream. So that was like my best challenge. But at the same time, I was in so much pain that omitting that,
it wasn't worth it.
It wasn't a big deal, you know? And so when I finished, I realized that fasting, not only did it give me a connection, intimate connection with God, but it also allowed me to know who I am and the strength that I have within me.
So you are all renewed right now.
I was renewed. And I remember one of my friends just sent me a message and she said, Jessica, I want you to go back and look at this picture and then look at this picture of today. And I was like, yeah, what's the difference? She's like, you don't see? And I said, well, I lost the weight, of course. She said, no, look at the glow that you have right now. Look at how your joy. I have never seen you this joyful in your life. And it was so truthful. I have never experienced joy.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I was just telling my girlfriend this morning about when I went away from my fast, like I honored my spirit. You know, this is actually the beginning of Ride, and I honored my spirit, and I went away for Monday to Friday. And for the Monday to Friday, I did not eat, nor did I drink anything at all. Wow. It was a complete fast. And so what happened, I just felt like it's an amazing feeling of bliss. That's all I can say. It's like a heavenly feeling, but here on earth, and everything around me just seemed to illuminate. Like on a higher frequency. Not only that, like you said, of course you do lose weight, but that was not my intention. That wasn't my intention. And when I came out the fast, I just felt like I should only eat things that were off the earth. So same thing, But I was just, again, my spirit was leading me to do that. Drink water. Another thing was also not to eat anything with blemishes. So fruits that had blemishes, I wouldn't eat it either. And prior to that, I had suffered from constipation for 7 years, and to the point where it was, and I had horrible hemorrhoids. So when I went to the bathroom, I was in, like, it felt like I was going through like semi-labor pain. And, just, it was a horrible experience. But after that fast, it was gone. I was healed totally.
Wow.
Totally. Like I would have severe knee problems. Like my joints always hurt because I was an athlete in school, and it would always hurt. And waking up out the bed, when I wake up off the bed, it would take me a few minutes to kind of adjust because when I step on the ground, my feet, the bottom of my feet was just like it was something like was going on with my feet. That went away. So it was just like so fasting has so many benefits, spiritual and I would say enlightenment, mental clarity.
Yes.
Like when you think about being creative and ideas and thoughts coming in, you just like answers to like things that
Because you're caught up.
yeah, and
that distracted.
and it's just it's like you said, it's just right there.
Yes.
So and at that point I said, what, a lot of the problems that we're having actually is based on the fact that we're just consuming so much toxic stuff that our bodies, our temples per se, does not need. And so at this phase in my life, and that is where I'm really more conscious of what I'm putting in. I'm not fasting like that. So what I'm committed to do now, once a week, I'm going to be fasting like the entire day. And I like to fast like I don't like to have nothing in, like no food, no drink, no nothing. And when I do it, I just feel like I don't know, there's something for me. It does.
It breaks.
Yeah.
I feel like every time I fast, it breaks something from me, and it allows me to something new come out.
It's a sacrifice. It's
Yes.
a sacrifice.
Yes.
It's a sacrifice.
It's something new that I learn about myself, or I get clarity about something else.
It's true.
So that really helps me to go through that whole process.
Yeah.
And of course, now I understood at that moment when I felt how my body felt after eating healthy for all those days, that of course when I was ready to go back, I'm like, I don't want to go back.
You're
now,
afraid,
now of course if I go out to eat, I can eat pasta, I eat rice, I eat everything I want now, but in moderation. I don't put all that in my body because I know how I feel when I have it. And so I prefer to, that's now, I eat healthy. I eat my vegetables, my fruits, and I just feel so good. I mean, it's been now 2 years and I still keep the weight, and because again, it rewire my brain.
So I'm curious, so when your ex sees you now, what does he have? Does he see the difference in you?
I don't know. He moved out of state. I haven't seen him.
Oh wow. What about the children? How are the children?
Oh, my daughters, I'm so proud of them. I have to say truly what the word said, that when you delight yourself in the Lord, He will give you the desires of your heart. I remember just focusing on the Lord just to heal myself, because you cannot give what you don't have. And I went through the process of me being broken and going through the process of healing, that at some point, sometimes I felt like maybe I'm not being a good mom because I'm taking care of me, but I'm not taking care of them. But we all go through different healing process, and I had to give them the space for them to find their own healing process. And I prayed to her, I said, you take care of them. They're your daughters, you love them more than I could ever love them. So you need to be for them what they need you to be, like you have been for me. And I have to say, I mean, yes, it was painful. Yes, I have seen the pain on them, and they're still, work in process, but the woman that they have become today. Like I have my older, she's about to get married.
How old is she?
She's 20.
Wow.
And she's been with this amazing, her boyfriend for over 2 years now, and a man of God that love her, pray over her. I mean, they're going into ministry, so that came out of all this situation.
Wow.
She decided to study to become a youth pastor.
Okay.
So they're both into ministry now. So that came from all these beauty from ashes, I have to say. And my little one, she's 15 now. I mean, she's striving. I mean, her grades are amazing. And she's learning how to be a little bit more outgoing. And I mean, when I look at them, I say, God, you have done such an amazing job. They're women of faith. They're strong. They're disciplined. I mean, if
You have a great mother and a great example to look up to. Why not, right?
Oh, I'm just very proud of them because they can have chosen a different path too. Just like I did.
Yes.
We have two paths to choose. You go and go with the world path, or you go and find the one that God
That's
tells
right.
you. And we can all go those
That's
ways.
right.
But I'm so proud that through the midst of the pain and the struggle, as they saw me grab into God and believing and just say, I don't know where the food is coming from, but I'm going to believe that it's coming from.
That's right.
That builds them in their faith. And I remember just the other day, my daughter came home and her car was having a little issues. And I said, okay, so what are you doing? She said, oh, I just pray over it. I am your daughter anyways, right? So I pray over it and it's fine.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So I love to hear how their mindset
Their faith, yes.
has shifted completely to now know that you can pray for anything.
Yes.
And he is there with you. You know, he will never leave you, never forsake you.
Yes.
And that's the biggest gift that I can give them. That even when I'm not here, they know he's with them. And they'll be okay.
So let's say now, for this book now. Now, I believe you're ready. So when are you going to start?
Well, I already started writing.
Okay.
I mean, I'm telling you, you inspire me. I came home that Saturday. I said, you know what? She said, do it now.
That's
So even
right.
though I don't know where I'm going to write, I'm going to do it now. I
That's
took
right.
the book and I started just writing and writing and writing. And to my surprise, I'm looking at all these like topics. And then I felt like I said, these are going to be your chapters. There's all the titles for my chapters. And I was like, how? So I've been writing ever since, just things that how they're coming and everything.
So do you have a deadline? Today I always tell people that this is really important to have a deadline.
By the end of this year.
End of this year.
By the end of this year.
So you have 8 months. Or is it 8 months? Yeah.
By the end of this year.
10 months. 10 months.
There's so many women that I know that need
yes.
this,
Mhm.
that they need to feel like I'm
Absolutely.
not alone. And if she did it with how ugly it was for her,
Mhm.
and knowing
Yes.
that have nothing, no money, nothing, and she was able to be here, thanks to God, they need to hear it.
Yes.
Because they're not alone. We all go through our own
Yes.
storms. They
Yes.
might be different and we all come from different backgrounds. Culture has a lot to do with it too.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. We talked about that too.
Yes.
Mhm.
Culture has a lot to do of how we raise, what we think of
Mhm.
ourselves. And for me, that has been something that I have to shed out from.
Yeah.
To know
So
that.
talk about that a little bit. Talk about how your culture had affected how you perceive what was happening with you.
Well, sure. I mean, our culture is, like I said, it's all about you marry once through Catholic Church, and that's it. I mean, divorce is not even an option.
Right. And you're from what country?
Puerto Rico. I'm from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
I grew up very old-fashioned. My parents were very old-fashioned. Maybe with a lot of values and a lot of morals, I have to say. I was the first one in my family, to finish college and started my own business.
And what's your business too?
Oh, I'm an independent sales director with Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
I love that I got the freedom to be a stay-home mom and be there
Okay.
for my daughter, especially through this moment. If it wasn't for that business, I don't know
Wow.
how we were able to do everything that we did. Because it gave me the flexibility to stay at home all those months, taking care of myself, while the business was still producing, and was still paying all my bills. So that was a blessing just by itself, how God really took care of my business in that time. So yeah, just I mean, the fact that I remember when everything happened, I couldn't think of how I'm gonna tell my parents because that's
It's against.
oh my gosh, it's against everything that we believe in, and then of course, what are they gonna think, about me?
Yeah.
And because in that culture, they're very machistas, and they think if the man leaves, it's the woman's fault.
Oh God.
So I remember just thinking, I don't even know how I'm gonna say anything, and it took me a while, couple months, before I was able to spit it out. But you know what? I pray a lot, and I say, okay, God, give me the strength to go through this, and I didn't give them too many details. I just kind of said, we decided to part our separate ways.
Right.
And just little by little, tell them a little bit. Never went into all details because, of course, I didn't want them to worry either. And but culture has a lot to do because it makes you feel like you are a failure. You know, it makes you feel like you lose and that you cannot
you stay in it,
out.
and you stay in it, or well,
Yes.
your situation is different where you had no control of the other person's action, but then also there are women that are also on the opposite end that they're in a relationship, but they know they have to go, and they're still dealing with the same thing, and they struggle with, well, what is everyone going to think about me because I left, I'm this, and that, and but you know, they don't necessarily have the courage to say why they're leaving, you know, and like I mentioned earlier, sometimes it's really embarrassing,
Yes.
you know, and you don't want to face that, and sometimes because of the fear of facing the noise here, then they stay in it and they become miserable.
And that hurts them
And they
too.
hurt, and then
Their
your health,
family.
your
Yes.
children, it sends
Yes.
messages because the kids sometimes struggle because they're not seeing how a true healthy
True
marriage
should be.
should be, and so they end up thinking, well, my mom and dad were like this, and oh, it's okay for him to be that way. So I definitely think that this is where conversation and communication is like one of the key remedies for what we're going through, and that is why I really wanted to have this conversation. The one that we were having over the phone, it was so amazing, and I said, you know what, let me just, I said, because this ties back into what I'm trying to do. My goal is to empower people, and it's been in my heart to really reach out to my sisters. You know, women out here are hurting.
Yes.
They're in pain.
Yes.
They're in real, listen,
Yes.
and I've been in the beauty industry for over 25 years, and I've had thousands of intimate conversations with women from all demographics, different cultures, different age groups, and they don't really have anyone to talk to.
No, or you cannot even talk the truth. I
And-
remember, like,
yeah.
those moments when
Yeah.
those deep feelings come, that you feel in love, in value, that you think you cannot do it. Who do you tell those things? Especially, of course, like if you're a Christian,
Yeah.
oh, she's a Christian. She
Yeah.
cannot feel like that.
Yeah.
Like, or this or that. And
But
it's
what
like,
about the women who doesn't have a spiritual, background?
then that's harder
Yes.
because they
Yeah.
have no
Right.
hope.
Yes.
And there's nothing to
Yes.
look forward to.
Yes.
I really don't know how they do it. Because for me, what saved me was him.
Me too.
The fact that I'm standing here today, I mean, with his joy, with so much love to give, is because of him.
Yeah.
If I didn't have him, I don't know what I would
And
be.
I think that's for me, that was my motivation for writing my book.
Mm.
That was my motivation. Like, I have to figure out a way to help. And that was
Yes.
my way of trying to help. And again, I consult people, I sit with, I talk with people, I do all that, but I can't do it. I mean, there's only
You're
24
one
hours.
person. Yeah.
Right, so I thought by putting that information in the book, then it could be a deeper, intimate conversation. And my
Yes.
prayer was that, God, please, when someone reads this, that they're not just reading about my life, that they're able to see their own journey.
And he did it for me. I have
That
to
was my
say,
prayer.
that's why I wanted to finish all the book before I came to talk with you, because I wanted it to really just, and then literally through reading your book, I felt myself in so many moments, that feeling.
Yeah.
And that's when that day I call you and I talk with you, I say, I truly felt your pain. And I truly felt it because I've been there.
Yes.
You might not have in the same situation, but I felt the pain. And that's what I love about that book, was that I was able to connect with it. You were so vulnerable and so open to tell the truth. And I feel as women, we try to put sprinkles on everything, make it pretty. No, some days it's not pretty. Some days you don't feel like you're enough. And it's okay to not feel it, but it's not okay to stay there.
That's right.
It's okay to just cry it or say, no, you know what, I'm feeling this, but you know what, feeling, that's not the truth.
That's
The
right.
truth is that I'm a conqueror.
That's right. That's
The
right.
child of the Most High
And it has to
God.
be louder than
And
that.
you have to scream it.
Yes,
And I remember
yes.
some days, I'm like, and I still do this. People might think I'm a little crazy, but in the morning when I'm showering, I am speaking
Me
to
too.
myself.
Me